Okay. Today I'm reading day 22 of our Advent calendar. The star which they had seen in the east went before them, and stood over where the young child was. Matthew 2:9.
God the Master says, "From now on I myself am the shepherd. I'm going looking for them as shepherds go after their flocks when they get scattered. I'm going after my sheep. I'll rescue them from all the places they've been scattered to in the storms. I'll gather them back from foreign peoples, gather them from foreign countries, and bring them back to their home country. I'll feed them on the mountain of Israel, along the streams among their own people. I'll lead them into lush pastures so they can roam the mountain pastures of Israel. Graze at leisure, feed in the rich pastures on the mountain of Israel. And I myself will be the shepherd of my sheep. I myself will make sure they get plenty of rest. I'll go after the lost. I'll collect the strays. I'll doctor the injured. I'll build up the weak ones and oversee the strong ones so they're not exploited. As for you, my dear flock, I'm stepping in and judging one sheep and another, between rams and goats. Aren't you satisfied to feed in good pasture without taking over the whole place? Can't you be satisfied to drink from the clear stream without muddying the water with your feet? Why do the rest of my sheep have to make do with grass that's trampled down and water that's been muddled? Therefore, God the Master says, I am myself stepping in and making these right between the plump sheep and the skinny sheep, because you forced your way with shoulder and rump and butted at all the weaker animals with your horns, so you scattered them all over the hills. I'll come in and save my dear flock. No longer let them be pushed around. I'll step in and set things right between one sheep and another. I'll appoint one shepherd over them all, my servant David. He'll feed them. He'll be their shepherd, and I, God, will be their God. My servant David will be their prince. I, God, have spoken. I'll make a covenant of peace with them. I'll banish fierce animals from the country so the sheep can live safely in the wilderness and sleep in the forest. I'll make them and everything around my hill a blessing. I'll send down plenty of rain in season, showers of blessing. The trees in the orchards will bear fruit. The ground will produce. They'll feel content and safe on their land, and they'll realize that I am God when I break them out of their slavery and rescue them from their slave masters. No longer will they be exploited by outsiders and ravaged by fierce beasts. They'll live safe and sound, fearless and free. I'll give them rich gardens, lavish in vegetables. No more living half-starved, no longer taunted by outsiders. They'll know beyond doubting that I, God, am their God, and that I am with them, and that they, the people of Israel, are my people. Decree of God the Master. You are my dear flock, the flock of my pastor, my human flock, and I am your God. Decree of God the Master. And then these messages from God the angel armies. A message from God of the angel armies. I am zealous for Zion. I care. I'm angry about Zion. I'm involved. God's message. I've come back to Zion. I've moved back to Jerusalem. Jerusalem's new name will be the True City, and Mountain of God of the Angel Armies, and Mountain Holiness. A message from God of the Angel Armies. Old men and old women will come to Jerusalem, sit on benches on the streets, and spin tales. Move around safely with their canes, a good city to grow old in. And boys and girls will fill the public parks, laughing and playing, a good city to grow up in. A message from God of the Angel Armies. Do the problems of returning and rebuilding by just a few survivors seem too much? But is anything too much for me? Not if I have my say. A message from God of the angel armies. I'll collect my people from countries to the east and countries to the west. I'll bring them back and move them into Jerusalem. They'll be my people and I'll be their God. I'll stick with them and do right by them. So sing, daughter Zion. Raise your voices, Israel. Daughter Jerusalem, be happy. Celebrate. God has reversed his judgment against you and sent your enemies off chasing their tails. From now on, God is Israel's king in charge of the center. There's nothing to fear from evil ever again. God is present among you. Jerusalem will be told, don't be afraid, dear Zion. Don't despair. Your God is present among you, a strong warrior there to save you. Happy to have you back. He'll calm you with his love and delight you with his songs.
Oh, no.